Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jasudanana Vraja Janaranjana. Jasudanana Vraja Janaranjana. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahans Vadivadikacharya Astotarasi Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantara Śrīmad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Padasai Vudale. Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve. Gauravani Pacharini Vishesha Shunyavadi Pastatari Shatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Idam Bhagavatam Nama Purana Brahma Samitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Shreya Saya Lokasya Dhanyam Sastayanam Mat. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 2, entitled Dakṣa. Prabhupada would say Dakṣa. Dakṣa curses Lord Śiva. Text number 20. Vijñāya śāpaṁ giriśānugāgraṇīr nandīśvaro roṣa-kaṣāya-dūṣitaḥ dakṣāya śāpaṁ visasarja dāruṇaṁ ye cānvamodaṁs tad-avācyatāṁ avācyatāṁ dvijāḥ vijñāya śāpaṁ giriśānugāgraṇīr vijñāya śāpaṁ giriśānugāgraṇīr nandīśvaro roṣa-kaṣāya-dūṣitaḥ nandīśvaro roṣa-kaṣāya-dūṣitaḥ dakṣāya śāpaṁ visasarja dāruṇaṁ dakṣāya śāpaṁ visasarja dāruṇaṁ ye cānvamodaṁs ya cānvamodaṁs tad-avācyatāṁ dvijāḥ ye cānvamodaṁs tad-avācyatāṁ dvijāḥ vijñāya śāpaṁ giriśānugāgraṇīr nandīśvaro roṣa-kaṣāya-dūṣitaḥ dakṣāya śāpaṁ visasarja dāruṇam ye cānvamodaṁs tad-avācyatāṁ dvijāḥ vijñāya śāpaṁ giriśānugāgraṇīr nandīśvaro roṣa-kaṣāya-dūṣitaḥ dakṣāya śāpaṁ visasarja dāruṇam vijñāya śāpaṁ giriśānugāgraṇīr nandīśvaro roṣa-kaṣāya-dūṣitaḥ dakṣāya śāpaṁ visasarja dāruṇam ye cānvamodaṁs tad-avācyatāṁ dvijāḥ. Ladies. Vijñāya śāpaṁ giriśānugāgraṇīr vijñāya śāpaṁ giriśānugāgraṇīr nandīśvaro roṣa-kaṣāya-dūṣitaḥ śāpaṁ visasarja dāruṇam ye cānvamodaṁs tad-avācyatāṁ dvijāḥ vijñāya understanding śāpaṁ the curse giriśa of Śiva anuga-agraṇīḥ one of the principal associates nandīśvaraḥ Nandīśvara roṣa anger kaṣāya red dūṣitaḥ blinded dakṣāya to dakṣa śāpaṁ a curse visasarja gave dāruṇam harsh yea who cha and anvamodan, tolerated. Tad-avācyatāṁ, the cursing of Śiva. Dvijāḥ, brāhmaṇas. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Lord Śiva Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Upon understanding that Lord Śiva had been cursed, Nandīśvara, one of Lord Shiva's principal associates, became greatly angry. His eyes became red, and he prepared to curse Dakṣa and all the brāhmanas present there who had tolerated Dakṣa's cursing Śiva in harsh words. Purport. There is a long-standing dissension among some of the neophyte Vaiṣṇavas and Śaivites. They are always at loggerheads. When Dakṣa cursed Lord Śiva in harsh words, some of the brāhmanas present might have enjoyed it, because some brāhmanas do not very much admire Lord Śiva. This is due to their ignorance of Lord Shiva's position. Nandīśvara was affected by the cursing, but he did not follow the example of Lord Śiva, who was also present there. Although Lord Śiva could have cursed Dakṣa in a similar way, he was silent and tolerant. But Nandīśvara, his follower, was not tolerant. Of course, as a follower, it was right for him not to tolerate an insult to his master, but he should not have cursed the brāhmanas who were present. The entire issue was so complicated that those who were not strong enough forgot their positions. And thus cursing and countercursing went on in that great assembly. In other words, the material field is so unsteady that even persons like Nandīśvara, Dakṣa, and many of the brāhmanas present were infected by the atmosphere of anger. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Sigurve Namah. Gum Gurudivācālam Pankam Langayate Girim Yatkibadam Vande Siguram Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Translation again. Upon understanding that Lord Śiva had been cursed, Nandīśvara, one of Lord Shiva's principal associates, became greatly angry. His eyes became red, and he prepared to curse Dakṣa and all the brāhmanas present there, who had tolerated Dakṣa's cursing Śiva in harsh words. So as Prabhupada points out here so succinctly, that there are those who are neophyte, even Vaiṣṇavas, or to speak of Śaivites, that there's a back and forth, there's an argument as to who is supreme. Yeah. I'm blind. Sorry about that. They have disagreements about who is the supreme. Lord Śiva, of course, states that himself in the latter part of this pastime, because there was a question arose, why would something like this happen? Why would Dakṣa be cursing and all this counter-cursing going on? Why is Śiva in the middle of all of this? We'll see later on in the pastime that it's revealed how this establishes the glorious position of Lord Śiva. It also magnifies the glories of Sati, who gave up her body. And then later on, how the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, came and glorified and established the position of Lord Śiva. And then Lord Śiva turns that around by glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he tells that to Sati also. He mentions to her, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param. So this is all a transcendental pastime. That how is it that someone could go through all of this? Why would such a story be presented in the Bhagavatam? Again, it's all to establish the position of the devotees, but also to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So sometimes there is loggerheads between the Vaiṣṇavas and Śaivites. And when Dakṣa cursed the Lord Śiva with harsh words, some of the brāhmaṇas who were present, they may have enjoyed it because of their materialistic mentality. They were identifying with some of the words of Dakṣa, that who is this personality who is living in such a terrible state, who lives and surrounds himself with ghastly characters. So they were not so appreciative of Lord Shiva's position. And this, Prabhupada points out, is due to their ignorance. They could not fully see, and this is a common theme with materialistic minded people. They don't appreciate the position of the devotees of the Lord. They're not fully conscious of how the Lord's devotees are, although they may be engaged in materialistic activities in their mind, in material activities. They may be grihastas, or they may be ascetics, or they may be even business. They may be engaged in so many activities, and seemingly to the mundane mind and vision, this is not very advanced. This is not very laudable for a person who's supposed to be practicing spiritual life. How can that be? So, therefore, we can understand that the position of the devotees of the Lord is beyond mundane vision. One should not look upon them as ordinary personalities. The Upadeshamrita describes how even the Ganga, Gangamba Shambhala Kalabudbhina Pankar, the Ganga may be contaminated in mundane vision. We look on the Ganga as some, in our minds we can understand it's sacred, but to a mundane vision, it appears to be dirty. It may have so many things floating in it. I remember one year when we went to Mayapur, we were bathing down by the Ghat, and all of a sudden there was a terrible smell. It was just, it was really overwhelming. So the devotees got out of the water and were looking around, and there was this dead body floating down right next to the bank where we were bathing. And you could tell it was dead because there were crows on top of it, picking at it, right, trying to eat, whatever they do. So they're picking at this dead body. It's all swollen. Garland on it is floating down, and then for whatever reason the current got lessened. It really quieted down, and as the body got closer to the bank, it came into a little alcove, and it stopped. The body just right next to some locals who were bathing. And in my mind, my mundane vision, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. There were some pilgrims who were sitting there bathing, just washing their clothes, washing their face, and just tending to themselves in a nice, peaceful way. They were enjoying the experience of Ganga Snan. But me, I was aghast. How can you? And this body was right next to, literally right next to, floating right by. You could reach out and touch it. And they're just enjoying the snan. So for the mundaners, we can't appreciate the Ganga. And although it may be full of foam and mud, it's actually transcendental. What to speak of the association of devotees, how we sometimes may look upon them in a mundane light. One has to be very careful, of course. And the instructions are given throughout the Shastras that the devotees are full of godly qualities, and we may not appreciate it. Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana. They're full of transcendental qualities. But to the mundane vision, we're thinking that, oh, this is, yikes, I don't know how I can deal with this. So sometimes the brāhmaṇas, they do not very much appreciate and admire Lord Śiva due to their ignorance. Nandīśvara was affected by this cursing. But he didn't follow the example of Lord Śiva who was present there. Lord Śiva, of course, the devotee, whether it's heaven or hell or whether it's glorified or not, actually Maharaj, was it one of the Navayogendras speaks to Maharaj Nimi and describes to him that when one is absorbed in the process of devotional service and the glories of enchanting of the holy name, the ecstasy is such that he automatically begins to dance and chant madly, not caring for the opinion of others, so the general perception. So Lord Śiva, certainly we can understand he's established in transcendental consciousness. So he wasn't disturbed by what was being thrown at him. And we've heard this in the last few classes so very nicely, the glories of Lord Śiva. How he was such a special personality. But Nandīśvara is being a divine personality, that is for sure, was not or was disturbed by this. The description is given in there in the Puranas of who Nandīśvara is. It's described that he's the son of a very great and pious sage Shilada, who due to his austerities and study of Shastra, had many merits. He had accumulated many merits to his pious activities. But he was still feeling something in the heart. Something was lacking in the heart. And that was that he wanted to have a divine son. Not a son born of flesh, but a son born of divine making. So, understanding how Lord Śiva, he's described as asutosh, right? He's easily satisfied. He went to the bank of the Bhuvana, which is a river in Kerala, in South India. And up to his waist, he began to meditate. And he did this for thousands of years. Finally, there was the Mahadev, the great personality of Lord Śiva, came down from the heavens, and he said, "Wake up!" Actually, wake up! So, at this, Śrīla opened his eyes, and he beheld the divine form of Lord Mahadev. And the Lord asked him, "What is it that's your deepest heartfelt desire? What is it that you're feeling in the deepest regions of your heart?" And Śrīla, due to having Lord Śiva there, he couldn't respond. He was momentarily stunned by this divine personality. So he gently whispered that, "I want to have a son by your mercy." And he said it in such a loving and sincere way that Lord Śiva said that, "Oh, I'm very much moved by your request. So be it." So Lord Śiva disappeared. And then the next day, when Śrīla went out into the fields to do his plowing, he had his small little ashram. And as he was plowing the field, all of a sudden he ran into some item or some obstruction, some little, what's the word, for lack of a better word, he bumped into something as he was plowing. And when he went and looked, what he beheld was a divine and radiant child. And shortly thereafter, there was a voice from the heavens that said, Śrīla, this is your child, raise him well." So Śrīla took the child in and named him Nandi. Nandi means to give joy, or satisfaction. So this Nandi, as he was growing, he became very adept at Shastra, very learned, and very focused in his responsibilities, the orders of his father. But he had one very interesting quality, and that was that he had an unshakable love and affection for Lord Śiva. So as he was growing up, one day, two sages, Mitra and Varuna, visited the ashram of Śrīla. And they stayed with them for some days. The humble sage with his sons served the sages nicely. And as they were leaving, they gave their benedictions to Srila explaining to him that may you live long and a prosperous life. And to be righteous. And then when Nandi came forward asking for or expecting some blessings, these sages didn't do anything. They just sort of hesitated, and they were all they could say is that stay righteous and strong in your practices. And this sort of confused Srila that why would they hesitate in giving their blessings to my son? So as they walked out, he followed. And they explained to him that he asked, well, why is it that you were troubled? Or is there something wrong? And their answer was that your son's life is destined to be brief. And his time in this world will be limited. So, of course, these words struck Srila very like a thunderbolt. And he stood there motionless for some time with grief crashing into his heart, and didn't know how to react. So when he went back to the ashram, Nandi asked, and he sensed something was going on with his father, and why are you so disturbed? Why are you looking so morose? And Srila in a choked up voice narrated this prophecy that your life is limited in this world, and this is very unfortunate and sad. But Nandi himself, he smiled at these words, and he explained that you've taught me that Lord Shiva's mercy is attainable for those who are sincerely devoted. So his father said, oh, well, then may you be all successful, my son. The boy intended, and then went off into the forest and began to meditate. And there the boy meditated for some days, then weeks, then it was months. And then finally the Lord Śiva appeared before Nandi. And the boy was so moved that again he couldn't respond immediately, but with tears in his eyes he asked that give me the honor of being with you always. And Lord Śiva was so pleased by his sincerity that he said, so be it. And may you have the face of a bull. That face of the bull symbolizes strength, patience, and loyalty. And, and may you be my vahana, or my carrier, my doorkeeper, and eternal companion. And may you lead my ganas, the soldiers, the followers of Lord Śiva, and whose business it is to protect the devotees and sometimes you see their features on front of Shaivite temples. You'll see these little figurines. They have different heads and different shapes. When you go to Rameshwaram, for instance, which is a very significant temple for Lord Śiva, you'll see in the front of the temple there's of course Lord Śiva on Nandi, but surrounded by these ganas, these different figurines which represent celestial beings whose business it is to protect the devotees. So this reaction of Nandīśvara is not, was a bit out of character, because the devotees they don't react in such ways, but we can understand why he did. And Prabhupada explains here that the cursing of the brāhmaṇas was not necessary, because we can read later on in the pastime how Bhrigu Muni reacted to that by cursing all of the followers of Lord Śiva to become Mayavadis and to be engaged in all sorts of devilish lifestyles, right? All sorts, whether it be taking intoxicants or sexual activities or different austerities and mutilations of the body. So that was the reaction of this cursing and counter-cursing going on. So the entire issue, as Prabhupada points out here, was complicated by those who were not strong enough and forgot their positions. Because sometimes, due to, again, the influence of material consciousness, even amongst Vaiṣṇavas, one identifies with the body, and an unpleasant situation develops, unfortunately. They forgot their positions, Prabhupada says, and thus cursing and counter-cursing went on in that great assembly. In other words, the material field is so unsteady that even persons like Nandīśvara, Dakṣa, and many of the brāhmaṇas present were infected by the atmosphere of anger. So this whole pastime is so instructive because it helps us to understand how the devotees of the Lord can overcome even such unnecessary or unexpected experiences, and how this unfolds, and how the cursing and counter-cursing unfolds is revealed in the following verses. It's very very instructive to us. So we'll end there. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for your wonderful class. I was thinking what you just said, that they curse like all the followers of Shiva, like it is also like the people who worship him that got cursed.
What was that?
Because you said that
because they were following Lord Śiva.
Yeah, and
yes.
They had this curse to become Mayavadis, and
correct.
And my question is that, are the people who are following or worshiping Shiva nowadays get the same curse or not?
Well, I'm not aware that it's been. Is it still effective? the cursing, effects of the curse still. Well, we've seen conflicts continue, as Prabhupada points out here. Right? The first line he says, there is a long-standing dissension among some of the neophyte Vaiṣṇavas and Śaivites, who are always at loggerheads. So it's still there. There's still some back and forth, unfortunately. And that's only due to neophyte consciousness. It's not anything, not anything else other than being of a neophyte mentality that we're seeing. This person is a follower of this one, and this is following that one, and so the mentality is really neophyte.
I think in this regards also there's one, it is mentioned that sometimes the Vaiṣṇavas, they get in argument, or like the Madhvacharyas and other ones. And one time Lord Nityananda is passing by and they look at them, you know how these people still arguing and fighting. Lord Nityananda just laughed. He was in a pilgrimage, this is going on for years. He just laughed and just walked away. But I have a reflection about this past time. And in the purport was mentioned about Nandi getting, angry and retaliating, cursing. So how dangerous this can be, even in our society. There are philosophical arguments, and devotees get so heated up they want to fight back, and sometimes administrational misunderstandings, or in our daily life among Vaiṣṇavas, how to deal with this. It is mentioned in the scripture sometimes that when two Vaiṣṇavas have arguments, this is Vaiṣṇavas, one should not side with one. When two Vaiṣṇavas at the caliber of pure devotees, you don't side with one or other one. But that's one side. In the other side, another reflection I had, that when Srila Prabhupada was in Yuhu, achieving that land, a man who didn't understand Srila Prabhupada's position as a pure devotee and the intention of the devotees trying to get a temple for Krishna, this man tried to cheat them. And Prabhupada actually ordered them. He didn't want to. He wanted to fight. In other words, use your anger for the right cause, for protecting Krishna's property. So, two things there. The first one, when I said that Vaiṣṇavas, we don't take side, because you can commit offenses. Offenses are detrimental for your spiritual life. But on the other side, there are certain things in which happen in our society, like when the cult, those people who were trying to deprogram devotees to become, Prabhupada will go and fight, use your anger, go in the courts and challenge them. So there is that part too. Hare Krishna.
This whole pastime is very instructive.
Yeah.
Because it shows us how true devotion transcends fate. Nandi had a certain fate, that he was meant to live only a short time. But because of his devotion, his fate was changed by the mercy of Lord Śiva. Just like in our own lives, we don't know what our fate may be, but because of the association of devotees and service to devotees, that faith and devotion, it transcends whatever fate may have been ours. Just like Prabhupada describes how when you clap, millions and millions of lifetimes of sins are eradicated before the deities. And it also shows us how faith, strong faith can make one fearless. If we have strong faith in the process, it'll make one fearless no matter what our whatever dangers we may face. Oh, I may only have so much time left in this world. We don't know. But we can understand that every moment, every step in this material world is full of dangers. So, but by having strong faith, it makes one fearless in the process of devotional service. And how surrender invites divine grace. If we are surrendering properly to the process of Krishna consciousness, that divine grace that's coming from the Lord and His representatives, it comes. Srila Prabhupada comments that it's by His doing that whatever good fortune we have, it's been created by Him. Right? He was asked, what have we done to deserve such a good fortune? And Prabhupada, his response was, I created your good fortune. So, by surrender, by how bhakti is not something that is not by birth. The development of bhakti is not by birth, but it's by a divine intervention. In other words, you can be born a Brahminical family, or you can even be born in a devotee family. But if there's no devotion developed, you're missing. There's something lacking there. That mercy of the divine will not happen. So this whole pastime is so instructive in so many different ways. And the Bhagavatam is giving us all of these wonderful examples that we can apply to our everyday experience. Hare Krishna, glories to Prabhupada. Shikha.